Hey guys, what's happening? Roman here from 8,300 feet in the air above some random place in the Ozarks in Arkansas with a few special guests. We have Joshua Morris in the house. What's up, Joshua?
Hello.
We got Brett Beckett in the house as well.
What's going on?
And we got Mark Brown at the cockpit over there. I don't know if you can see him with this angle, but he's the pilot. He's the guy who knows how to fly this plane and who makes this all possible, because I certainly can't fly this plane just yet on my own. So what's happening, guys? How you feeling?
Good.
Good. So that was fun. We just had a lot of fun. We went to Arkansas, to Bentonville, to go mountain biking, hang out, shoot some content, shoot some guns, and it's been a really good time.
Fly in the middle of nowhere and shoot guns.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Joshua was on a previous episode, and he is a real estate professional now looking to create a e-commerce brand. Brett's never been on the show. He's a good buddy of mine, and he is also, he's currently working in the real estate business and looking to create a brand of his own, a direct-to-consumer liquor brand, and there's a whole lot that goes into that, so we'll get into that. So I wanted to kind of get an update on Joshua and what he's doing, which brand he's working on, get the lowdown on what Brett's doing, and then also go into real estate investing. Because I do believe that, once you start growing your revenue, you're going to have to find ways to spend that money, and you're going to have to find ways to offset your taxes. And one of the best ways to offset your taxes is with real estate. Real estate investing is incredible. Cost segregations and all the other deductions you can get. It's quite elaborate on what you can do with it to save yourself money. So cool, guys. So, Joshua, where are we at, man? What brand are we creating now, huh?
All right. So after a lot of different ideas, where we started was coming up with okay, what's going to work? So we came up with different ideas, whether it was going to be in the kitchen space, different type of dog or pet brands. But we landed in the bedroom space, so primarily in the textile market, focusing on primarily bed sheets. All
right, so what's the brand concept? You and I were sitting there and brainstorming.
Yeah.
What's the brand called?
The brand is goodsheets.com, which is kind of based off we sell good shit, or however you want to phrase it.
It's a play on words, yep.
So play on words. The primary focus is make really high-end bed sheets. And
for who?
Mainly bachelors or just luxury, rentals, condos, stuff like that.
Okay, but who's your primary target market? Who are you going to sell to?
Mainly bachelors, mainly do kind of a Manscaped kind of brand where it's focused on just single bachelors that want nice bed sheets. So why we picked the bedroom space is because most people spend a lot of time in their bedroom, and a lot of people have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000+ mattresses, so they probably really want nice bed sheets.
Yep.
So that's kind of where we started.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great brand concept because, well, number one, we figured out what the mattress market is.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody in the U.S., the average is getting a new mattress every 10 years. Mattresses typically cost over $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big total addressable market. And there's really no cool, bachelor-centric bed sheet company.
Yeah.
Right? So you're kind of taking an existing product line and then realigning it for a niche, for a group of people, for an avatar that have not had a company speak to them in a way that they can understand, in a way that they think is cool. So that's a really, I think, powerful brand strategy, is to take a product line that's commoditized and then target people with that product line that have not been spoken to in the past, that no brand has really communicated what they want, right? For bed sheets, for instance, for bachelors, and then build a brand out of that.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, and then we came up with some really interesting concepts for that, right?
Yeah.
Different product lines within that brand.
Yeah.
The good sheets,
Yeah.
the original good sheets, plan shit.
Yeah.
Right? The bad sheets for the good nights.
Yeah.
That was one.
Yeah.
Tactical sheets, right? Dog sheets,
Yeah.
dog shit, right?
Yeah.
The pieces of sheet are going to be the pillow shams are going to be called pieces of sheet. So all of this is getting actively trademarked, right?
Yep.
So this episode is going to go live once Joshua's already done with that. So
Yep.
don't try to steal his idea. But yeah, I think it's going to rock it, man.
Yeah, and I think part of it too, and what Roman has been teaching me is, you start with your initial line, but you want to also be coming up with new product ideas under this brand as you go. So, I know you said the dog sheets, which will basically be some form of a dog bed, 3 different sizes, and replaceable top for the dog sheets.
Yeah.
And then we also have pillowcases, pillow ideas, weighted blankets, other stuff like that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say all this too soon, but
no, it's okay. I mean, look, it's by the time it comes out, we're already going to have the brand registered, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You can talk freely, and that's what tactical e-commerce is all about, right? We want to give people a tactical insight, even into the brainstorming process of how we came up with this.
Yeah.
Right. And the way we came up with it is literally lounging poolside.
The pool, yeah.
Yeah, and just like talking shit, right? And like, all right, what kind of brand can we create here? What's a product line that you use? And we just started kind of listing off random things in the house.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Door stops, kitchen stuff, bedding, this, that. I think bedding is one of the things that you mentioned. You're like, yeah, maybe bedding. I was like, bedding. What can you do with bedding?
Well,
that's interesting.
Oh, and also I think with bedding, and we've talked about this before, is that when you're developing a product, is there going to be certain stipulations or certifications or expiration dates while you're coming up with this idea? And the textile market has historically been very profitable if done correctly. So
yeah, so good margins.
Yeah,
products don't expire.
Yeah,
fairly compact.
Yeah,
and big total addressable market.
Yeah,
and an interesting concept, right? It's all about the brand at the end of the day, guys. If you can come up with an interesting way to market something in a way that hasn't been done by anybody else, you can make it into a golden opportunity. So awesome. That's great. So how far along are you at this point? What have you done thus far to bring your idea to fruition?
So obviously we already bought the website. We already have it linked with Shopify. I actually have in the back end been starting to work on graphic designs and stuff like that. And also trying to come up with different concepts for the packaging. So basically looked at other brands that have different types of packaging. So some are like full plastic case, kind of, tight packaging. Some are boxes. So trying to come up with like different packaging ideas. And then I was working on a proprietary blend, but now I am being told, don't worry about proprietary, like to the complexity I was trying to do it, which was kind of a massive pain in the butt.
So you kind of went into a state of analysis paralysis for a little bit, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Where you're analyzing the composition of the sheets, right, to the point where it's like, I have to perfect this before I release.
Yes.
And my recommendation typically is, start off easier, right? I mean, what you can differentiate with currently is a new design.
Yes.
Right? So a different design of sheets, differently sewed, and a new brand concept.
Yeah.
I think you should really focus on that before you go deep down the rabbit hole of proprietary fibers and finding, the perfect blend. Yeah. That's something that you can figure out over time.
Yeah.
But, that's really a difficult thing to tackle. So you should really just focus on the low-hanging fruit, which is create the brand, create a basic design for it, for the actual product, and start marketing it. Get it out there. See if there's product market fit, right? See if people are resonating with the product, just by brand and design alone.
Yeah.
So, okay, excellent. So tell me some of the other hurdles you've encountered. I know, so you've been looking for materials.
Yeah, so sourcing the material and also finding a manufacturer. So, there's two complexities here: is the sourcing the material and then also finding a manufacturer to do proprietary blends. So now it might actually get a little easier now. Now that I don't have to do this proprietary blend, finding manufacturers was not too hard, but actually focusing on materials where you're actually reaching out to these specific farms, whether it's the cotton or specific linen, and then actually having to blend them together. But now we're not doing that as of.
So what are you hearing from the materials manufacturers? How many have you reached out to?
I'd have to check my notes, but we've easily reached out to probably 60 to 80.
60 to 80 manufacturers. Okay, that's a lot.
It's brutal. Yeah, and I went down this rabbit hole, as Brett will explain probably through his experiences. We started with this private group and kind of like learning from there. And
what private group?
Amazing.com.
Okay, yeah.
And basically, we went through that, and part of it is like going Alibaba, this, that, the other. Then you do Google research, and I ran into a very similar problem, as Brett will explain through his path, is that I couldn't get to the quality or the specific source I was looking for. Even like specifically, we're looking at Supima cotton. Even if you go to the website, they don't sell you Supima cotton. It's actually a licensed trademark. So that's a whole other complexity to the process. But additionally, they will show you certain farms or manufacturers that you can work through, but even they weren't that great for many reasons. So then we started outsourcing, going to different liaisons. So we started talking to people in India, Turkey, Vietnam, Thailand. We started finally getting halfway decent quality product out of India, which we're waiting on that sample to come, which is Pima cotton. I guess talk about the details of the material, or?
Yeah, you can talk about the details.
Okay,
sure.
Okay, yeah. So Pima is what we're leaning on. Basically, it's very similar to Supima cotton. Yeah, so I mean, I'm still learning about textiles. I'm not a professional by any means, but yeah, there's multiple complications to what I've been kind of digging down.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking for manufacturing partners, you're going to have to go through a lot. And what I typically recommend when you start sourcing any type of product is always see what type of price tiers can be offered to you, right? And find out the price as your unit count scales. So let's say you're reaching out to a factory in India that makes textiles, and you're getting charged by the cubic meter, square meter. So you could reach out to them and say, hey, if I'd like to get some price tiers. How much would it be for 1,000 square meters? How much would it be for 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 square meters? Right? I want different tiers depending on how it scales. So they're going to give you different prices, and obviously the price for the 100,000 square meters is going to be much lower than the one for 1,000. And your goal at that point is to try to see how you can negotiate getting the price for the 100,000 square meters when you're only ordering a couple of thousand square meters, by convincing the factory that you're the right person to market this product, that you're looking for a long-term relationship, and that you have a high chance of success because of your background. Right? If you can convince the factory of that, then they can be more flexible. If they believe in you, they can kind of lower the price because they're also looking for a long-term relationship with somebody. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Well, awesome. Good for you, Joshua. Brett, hey, so you're working full-time now, right? Is it okay to say what you do for a living? Yeah. Okay. So Brett's the VP of Finance for a title company. You don't have to say what the title company is, doesn't matter, but he's a VP of Finance there, and he's been on a quest to create his own brand. Right now, as both of you can attest to, real estate is kind of on the downturn, and things are drying up a bit, right?
Yeah.
Joshua, what's your experience with real estate currently? I mean, what's happening in the market?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm an investor. I primarily acquire, meaning buying the actual properties and flipping them. Some I keep, but mainly flip. But because, the market has totally changed, we're probably doing, 70% less than we're used to, and our profits half of what we're used to. So days on market are longer, your holding costs are longer, but then you also deal with the complexity of insurance has gone up, property tax has gone up, and that's where a lot of the cost is also being eaten up due to the days on market and just the longer days that we're holding. So, yeah, it's a lot difficult. A lot of people don't want to sell their properties, and that's just part of the game.
Yeah. So Brett, back to you. So what product line in your research did you decide to pursue?
Yeah. I definitely had analysis paralysis for, I don't know, 3 months or so. I was taking the amazing.com course, looking for a product. And before I got into the idea of direct-to-consumer CPG, I was investing in, like, venture capital tech companies. And the one of the criteria that I look for is a product, and this kind of came from the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And just kind of the revelation that Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, Bill Gates are all born within like 6 months of each other or something.
Oh, wow.
Because they were in order to be a computer billionaire, you had to be like out of high school, maybe during college, before family, like before marriage and kids. You had to be like in the right time of your life to be able to learn and scale something new, and then geographically had to be close to a computing center where you could actually acquire the knowledge. And so it's like the people who were going to be the tech billionaires at that time, they had to be that age, they had to be at those places, and that's how it made sense. So I kind of look at that and say, well, what's the right timing for right now? What 3 years ago would have been too soon or wasn't possible, and 3 years from now will be too late because it'll be saturated. And so as I was doing some due diligence on some tech companies, I kind of dove into the spirits market and realized that after COVID, people started to transition to spirits in the alcohol world, specifically tequila. Tequila's trend is exponential right now in popularity. And even like listen to a country music song, they used to all sing about whiskey. Nowadays, they all sing about tequila. Tequila is becoming popular, and I think that because people have finally figured out that premium tequila is good. It's not all Jose Cuervo and 50% sugarcane and all this stuff. There's some really high quality stuff out there, and I think the market is becoming aware of that. And so we had found, I invest in veteran-founded companies primarily. I'll get into why later, but I found this company, two veterans, both successful exits multiple times in their past, and they decided to really innovate on this technology to kind of repurpose the distillation process to make something really, really special, something really unique. And so we decided to launch a brand, but the difference is we're using the same. So tequila is distilled Blue Weber agave. Blue Weber agave it's grown in Mexico right now. They cook it, they mash it, get the juices out, distill it, and it's tequila. But in order for it to be called tequila, it has to be a product of Mexico. It has to be made in Mexico, and they import it in its bottles. We wanted to make it here. We wanted to make it in the United States, and we wanted to kind of use the company as a purpose to kind of do the things that we believe in. And so we are launching the company's Amerigave. It's an American agave spirit, and it's going to taste a lot like tequila, very premium, no additives, very pure essence of the spirit. And our goal is to eventually have an estate distillery here where we're planting agave, here in probably Texas, southern Texas, and have our own distillery here and continue to grow from there. But what's really unique about our launch is that what I was saying about the perfect timing is that nobody was selling spirits online 3 years ago. There was a lot of laws that prohibited it. During COVID, the government lifted a lot of those. The government likes the spirits industry because we pay taxes 3 times. And so people started ordering spirits direct to door, and there started to be platforms and processes to be able to do that in a compliant way. And so we explored all those, got all the legal stuff that we needed to get done. And we can actually sell through Shopify in that manner where I can control the content of the website, the marketing, the CRM, and all that myself. So it feels very direct to consumer, but yet still complies with the 3-tier system to go through retail.
Okay, so there's a system that you have to abide by in order to sell alcohol online. And the way I understand it in a very simple way is you have to go through a third party that owns the website, that has a special license of sorts as a distributor. They make your website, right? They own the website. You operate the website. And this is kind of like a loophole of sorts, right?
Yeah.
To be able to sell direct-to-consumer spirits on the internet, right?
Yeah, and then they access my 3PL as well. So, there are plenty of websites out there selling spirits, but they're marketplaces. So you can go to like siptequila.com and you can explore a lot of different tequilas and order from one marketplace. But the partner that we're using, we get our own website, amerigave.com. You can order our tequilas. There's no other products on our site that we have to compete with. It's just our products, our story, our website. and it's based on Shopify. And so we get all access to all the same tools that Shopify makes available for direct to consumer, opening up a lot of power. And then they fulfill the orders because they're the retailer, and yeah, I get paid on through the back end. But yeah, so it's as far as the consumer knows, it's going to feel very direct to consumer. I get to control the customer process, which I'm very excited about. But it's new, and so I think that 3 years from now, a lot of people will be doing it. Spirits World there's kind of one or two big conglomerates that own most of the brands, and I think that they're moving a little slowly on this. And so I see that as an opportunity for us. And
so where are you at right now with building the brand?
Yeah.
What have you done versus what have you yet to do?
Sure. Yeah, so we started with sourcing the spirit, and we did that, and that was really interesting.
So how did you source the spirit?
Yeah, so this was, I was doing due diligence on this company, and they had this special processing, and in my due diligence, we were looking at, we had whiskey first. So they were sending me these whiskey samples they had come up with. And there's a whiskey sommelier, like high level whiskey sommelier in Austin, and I basically told him, said, how much money for the full day? Like 8 to 5. I just want to come in and sit with you for a full day and learn everything there is to learn. Show you these samples, and if at the end of the day you tell me, like, pack it up, go home, go do something else, I will. But if you think we have something here, then I'm going for it. So I spent the whole day with him and learned as much as I could about the spirits industry. We were talking about whiskey at the time, and at the end of it, he said, I think you have something here. And so I worked with this company, and I said, okay, but I want to do tequila, or agave spirits, really. And so we started working on flavor profiles. We went through, and there's a lot of things that you could do, and there's no additives, so it's just different minerality of the proofing water, different levels of oxygen induction, or even letting it rest for a certain period of time. What type of filter you use, whether it's carbon filter or coconut mesh filter, they highlight you different points of the flavor for you to really tune something that you want. So we went through 146 variations of or iterations of this process until we arrived at a flavor profile that we really liked. And we have 2 products. So we have the silver product, which is unaged distilled agave, and then we have the gold product, which is processed with oak. And so it's going to be comparable to what people would say is like an extra añejo. It has a very very oak character to it, vanilla caramel for the people that like the aged spirits.
How did you go about negotiating a price? Is it, like for alcohol, is it a price per gallon, price per bottle, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's price per proof gallon. And so
proof gallon. Okay.
Yeah, so proof is the alcohol content of the spirit.
Yeah.
So it's priced on proof gallon, taxed on proof gallon. And as far as the price of the company, I kind of went somewhat of a unique route, I guess. I became an investor in the company first.
Okay.
And so then we just negotiated a cost plus, because I'm an investor, so I benefit on the back end of having invested in the company, and then for my product, they're doing cost plus at this point.
Yeah, because you kind of went through the same process I did in the beginning. I think that's kind of important.
Well, it's funny. We found the spirit, and I'm like, cool, we're doing this. Like, this was in January, and I'm like, we're going to be live by 4th of July.
We cut out a little there. We had a little battery issue. What were you saying?
I think we're talking about pricing.
Yeah. So pricing. How did you came up with the price?
Yeah.
Let's recap the prices again.
Yeah.
What are you selling it at?
So our silver is at $64.99.
Oh.
Our gold's at $79.99. And the reason we ended up there is in the silver market, and we've tons and tons of blind tasting with a lot of aficionados to say, like, we took the top silver tequilas in the world, which are hard to find, and we pour them, and nobody, including me, knew what was what, and except my wife. She'd pour them and she'd number each glass, and then we would take notes and rate them and do the reveal. And we were consistently, like, out of 8 of the best silver tequilas in the world, we were ranking like 2 or 3 every time. And it was interesting because, like, the 1 and 2 slot weren't the same ones every time. People have different palates, and so you go around. You're not gonna everyone likes different things. Some people like more mineral, some people like more sweet, some people like more agave, and so. But we were constantly at the top of that. And then we would do more blind tastings where we'd mix it into cocktails, and we were consistently winning those. And so we're like, all right, we have a premium product here. It's additive free. It's something that people are going to want. But I want to price it to where I can go at volume. And so what I really wanted, I wanted to be at $45 is where I wanted to be. But because we're doing direct to consumer, I have this philosophy, and I'd like your thoughts on this. But there's some statistic that is like 95% of people that buy spirits intend to start consuming them within 3 hours. So that was like one of the big statistics used against this online model. It's like I'm not gonna order it and wait for 4 days. If I want to drink something now, I'm going to drink it. So I'm like, well, how do we beat that? And so what I'd kind of come up with was saying that if we want someone to buy our agave spirit who doesn't need to start consuming within the next 3 hours, then we need someone who's interested in the market, and then we need to provide a reason for them to make the decision. And the way that we're going to do that is through running a series of promotions. So it's like if we put a 4-day timer on a sale, so we like pick a holiday, it's July 4th, so we're running our 5-day 4th of July sale, 15% off, then that gets us to the 45 price point where I wanted to be. But then people know that within 5 days that deal's gone, and now for the next until the next time we run a promotion, it's gonna be $65. And that's what's going to be the ticker to get people to say, all right, well, I'm not in the market right now, but I want this, and the deal exists, and so I'm going to order it today. And so I had to go 15% above that, and that's what landed us at 65. And I will say that on the silver, our margins aren't great, and so our other plan to make that up was to really push the gold. My cost between the silver and the gold is very similar. And so because the good añejo tequilas are all $150 a bottle, $200 a bottle, and we compare with that, I figured if we sold that one at 80, then that might be our volume ticket that we're much more profitable at. And so that's where we came up with those.
Okay, gotcha. So talk to me about margins of a product like alcohol.
Sure.
What is the typical cost of goods? What is the cost to distribute?
Yeah.
And then what are you left with?
There's a lot of pieces to it because there's a tax each time. So I guess what I'll focus on is the cost that I'll sell to the distributor for,
okay,
and then my cost. And so my first batch, because we had so many upfront costs, I'm at like $13 a bottle. My next order,
$13 a bottle, bottled already, right?
Yeah,
Bottle,
like,
alcohol in it, everything.
Freight, like landed cost.
Landed cost.
Yeah.
Got it.
But you're not talking all the tax and all that.
That does include the first what's called federal excise tax.
Oh,
that is included.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because I have to pay that when I bring it in, like when I produce it. So I'm at $13, but like when that's my full in cost for the bottle. But my next order, which because there's a huge break when you get to 20,000 bottles at a time when you're ordering 20,000 bottles, I'm going to be able to get it down to about $7.50. So like there's a big break when I get to that, and I'll be essentially selling to my silver will sell to the distributor at like $39 a bottle.
Got it.
And
so
the difference between 39 and 64.99, that's all eaten up in distributor margin, retailer margin, etc. And then I have one more cost on the back end. So that's not the difference between those is not my gross profit, because the next thing I have to do is subsidize shipping. Shipping alcohol is very expensive because we have to pay a premium for somebody to check your ID and make sure you're 21 before they deliver it. So the couriers charge a lot. It's like $25 to ship one bottle of alcohol. I don't want to pass through a $25 charge, and so we're gonna end up meeting our consumers halfway. We're gonna charge like $12 for shipping. If you just order one bottle, you're gonna pay $15 for shipping. I'm gonna cover 10. So then I have another $10 that comes out of my margin there. So like on the silver, I may have a margin of like 25, but more than likely I'm gonna end up getting 15. So at the cost, and not getting 15, that's gross profit. So I'll end up getting 25. So if I pay $13 a bottle right now, I'll get my money back plus 25. And then when we get our cost down to 7, then I'll just get the difference between that.
So let's say your formula works out well and people do buy it at that price, the distributors buy it at that price. What is your gross net profit per bottle?
Yeah, so really it's going to depend on a lot of the compositions of orders that we get of our gold versus silver, because our net profit on our gold is so much higher. But for each bottle that I sell, my profit, if I sell one bottle, will be $15.
$15.
Yeah, and if I sell, or big goals, we're trying to not sell one bottle because shipping is so expensive. If I sell 2 bottles, my shipping cost is almost the same, but all of the $10 difference that I subsidize on the first bottle now becomes mine. So if I sell 2 bottles, my profit goes up, up additional like 25 for the second bottle. So
Got it. So your net profit, you're looking at about 25% margin. And that doesn't include marketing costs, right?
right.
So you're going to have to figure out a way now to acquire customers for less than $15
Right.
in order to make this a profitable venture, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that. Well, what are your plans in order to launch this product? Because you haven't launched yet, right? So far you got the bottle, right? You got that all figured out. You got a logo. You got a website, which we'll talk about. You have the relationship with the distiller. You have the relationship with the middleman, which is the distributor as well, right?
Yeah.
They're already ready to accept the product, right?
And and to get this far, how long has it taken you to get to this point?
Yeah, I started going really serious on it in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nine months.
Yeah. 9 months of hard,
You'll be fully launched basically within a year, I believe, right?
Yeah, so our website will be live next week, but it's going to be live for, the add to cart button isn't there yet. So the bottles are en route to us. They're on the ocean right now. And when they come in, because it still has to go through a distributor, there's like a 3-week lead time for me to get it to my retailer. And so we'll be live in about 7 weeks.
Okay. How much did it cost you to get to this point?
We're in 85,000.
Okay, 85,000. And how much more is it going to cost you to get this product out to market?
Almost nothing. I pretty much prepaid all of the remaining expenses.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
like a few $1,000.
A few $1,000, but I mean marketing.
Yeah, that doesn't include marketing.
Right.
So when we launch, my plan is to. I'm going to talk to you about this, but my plan is to put $5,000 a month into marketing for 3 months so I can learn my lessons and figure out, just iterate on our ads and start collecting data.
Got it. Yeah. So are you going to go direct to consumer? I mean, are you going to go doing Facebook ads, Google ads, kind of direct response marketing, or are you going to do like event-based marketing? Because my understanding is a lot of alcohol companies grow their footprint by doing events.
Yeah.
And talking to local distributors, local bars, right? They'll choose a geographic area and say, hey, we're going to go to all the bars here, give them a free bottle or something.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What's the typical marketing plan look like for an alcohol company?
Well, this is what we're doing very, very different. So the typical plan is that you're exactly like you said. You're going to go court your distributors. You're going to go talk to retailers. You're going to go talk to bartenders, bar owners, restaurant owners, try to get on cocktail lists, and you're going to own a local geography and then grow regionally. That's the traditional plan. And it's really expensive because you have to have sales reps that spend their time in and out of bars, day in and day out, telling your story to the bartenders, like going through tastings, holding these events, setting up the tasting booths in Total Wine, and just doing everything to get your name out in one market. And I think what we're really doing different here is what's really changed about why the CPG model works so well, why the direct-to-consumer model works so well. And one of the things that Amazing.com teaches is if you look at somebody like Black Rifle Coffee, right, they realize that there's a huge coffee market, and if you wanted to be successful before in a local region, you could not afford to take like political stances, for example, because you have to be the best value to the most people in order to capitalize on with geographic boundaries.
Right.
When you go online, you remove geographic boundaries, but if you don't have any specific niche, then you're not going to take market share from anybody. And so you replace geographic boundaries with demographic boundaries, and you say, I'm going to focus on this market. And if, for those who haven't seen Black Rifle Coffee's first ads, it was, machine guns and bikinis and battles. And it was, a lot of fun that was really targeted towards the patriotic crowd, the veteran crowd, the Blue Lives crowd. And they ate it up and they loved it. 80% of the people might have been offended by the videos, but the 20% that weren't were going to be really loyal to the brand. Dude Wipes did the same thing, right? We realized that the wipey market was only for women and babies. It's like half of the market is available for wipes. Let's market wipes to men, right? So let's pick this niche and let's take it across. And they obviously ended up in stores as well. And that would be our plan. So because we're kind of a focused brand, it's Amerigave. It's focused on. We realize that people like tequila now, and there are a lot of people within that market that want American-made products. They want stuff that's done here. And in fact, ours is made by veterans. And so we really focus on that crowd, saying there are people that like tequila, they like premium stuff. They don't care where it came from. They don't care that it's authentic to being made in Mexico. If it tastes good, it tastes good. If it's a premium spirit, it's a premium spirit, and even better because this one's made here.
So are you thinking like Black Rifle Coffee Company meets tequila for your marketing?
I'm not going to go extreme, but I'm thinking, like your Harley Davidson riders, right? It's like they want that American-made product, and so that's what we're focused on. And again, part of our company mission is we take a portion of our proceeds to invest in veteran-founded companies because that's something I believe in. It's something I was doing before the company existed, and we're going to continue doing that. So we hope that those that support that mission will support our product.
Amazing.
And so, anyways, back to your question, if we're focused on that niche, then we can't spend our time and resources competing regionally because we're in Austin, Texas, and there are like 15 tequila brands in Austin alone, and I'd be competing with Matthew McConaughey. And so we definitely are going to do that in a phase 2, but going online allows us to decide where we want to compete. Where are people ordering our stuff? We can ship to 37 states legally. And so
it seems like a lot of celebrities are starting up liquor companies. Why do you think that is?
Because there are companies that facilitate the project management for private labeling. You can go to one of these companies and say, I want to start a company, and they'll give you 5 samples and say, tell us which one you like, and we'll take care of everything from there. And you never have to touch it because it goes directly to an importer, to a distributor. You never touch it.
It seems more of like a money grab more than being passionate about figuring out what is the best.
Right. Not only that, every single celebrity-owned tequila is full of additives. So what happened in the tequila industry is you are allowed to have. So first of all, you have your Jose Cuervos of the world, which are only 51% agave and 49% sugarcane. So that's not even full 100% agave. But if you get in your more premium tequilas, they say 100% agave. Well, even in the 100% agave, the Mexican, the regulators in Mexico allow up to 1% of additives. 1% of additives is a shit ton. LaCroix, which is super flavored, and they have all these flavors, that's less than 1% of additives. You can do a lot with additives. So when people try this tequila, it's like, I like this one because it's so smooth. It's like they just pumped glycerin into it. I like this one because it tastes like caramel. It's like, because they put caramel in it. Like they're putting these additives, and so the trend in premium tequilas right now is additive free.
So what do the additives do to you? Like, is it bad for you, or what are the additives all about?
I mean, so these additives are already naturally occurring in the process. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, this one tastes smooth because glycerin was a natural byproduct of the distillation process. So let's just go pump more glycerin into it. But I do definitely feel, in my own experience, this is my opinion here, that the next day I feel a lot better when I had a premium additive-free spirit as opposed to something that was pumped full of citric acid, glycerin, and sugar.
So less hangover when you don't have the additives.
Yeah, it's just a pure spirit. And really, when you look into the history of agave spirits, mezcals, and tequilas, it's really cool. Like, this goes all the way back to the indigenous days. I mean, the indigenous that were native to these lands, they were making essentially beer out of agave. And they used it as a ritual to speak to the gods. Like, it's really, really cool history about when you're tasting these spirits, you're tasting the land, you're tasting the land they grow. These agaves are 8 to 12 years old by the time they're harvested. So this is a very long-term process before you can pull an agave out of the ground, and the care that goes into it, you can taste in each glass. And so we care about not messing with that. We realize that we just want to keep the essence of the process pure.
One thing I kind of want to point out, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Rome, but it sounds like, there's the way that, say, some of these celebrities will just kind of put a product out there and just put it out there as they're not really focused, where you've always kind of preached, try to put out the best quality product possible, where obviously Brett's showing his attention to detail to be able to do so. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in order to differentiate I believe that you have to have a strong brand, and part of having a strong brand is having a strong product, because there's so many products out there nowadays that are not good, right? That are subpar, that are using cheap materials, cheap ingredients, cheap tequilas, that you have to really be one step ahead.
Yeah. I think to add to that, Brett, you might notice the same experiences. If you didn't focus this much attention, you could easily have slapped this together way faster, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's the same thing. Like
I could have gone to one of those companies that just said, we'll just do everything for
You
you.
would have already been launched. And it's like, same thing for what I'm noticing is I could have easily just got some like Egyptian cotton, blah, 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 and just pieced it together. But because you're focusing more attention on the quality of your product, you tend to take a little longer to get it get it to where it's at. But also you deal with other complexities that you probably wouldn't have if you just like worked with a third party and just slapped it together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But and so then once if we feel like we can hit the direct to consumer market, then absolutely our profit margins go up when we can get on store shelves, because we don't have to pay for that crazy per bottle shipping cost. And so that's definitely going to
Do
be
you still have to pay for a distributor?
yeah.
So no matter what, the distributors cut in.
Yep. And that's why when you were saying our profit margin is 25%, I think most of the tier one, the suppliers, would consider their profit margin, like ours would be 100 to 200%, because they're selling to the distributor. So it's like 25% of what the consumer pays the retailer. And like our profit margin is like based on what we get paid by, we bring all of this together. We have our landed costs, and then we sell to a distributor. We sell to a distributor for, 2x on our silver, 3x on our gold. And so, like, we have those margins there.
Is it possible to be your own distributor?
It's
Or build your own distributorship?
you have to commit to one tier. So I could be the distributor if my partner brand retained ownership of the tier one process. And so we actually don't have to make that decision yet, because our tier one in this first phase is the co-packer. It's just how it's licensed. They're the ones that are doing the final assembly of the product, so they're the tier one supplier. But I'll be honest, I have all of my compliance done for the process that we're doing today, but I only have to have it legal in one state, because my distributor is in California, my co-packer is in California, it's being imported to California, my e-retailers in California. They can ship to 37 states, but I have a lot to learn about the legalities of when we bring it into Texas, where I'm going to play. So it is possible for me to play in the tier 2 and the distributor tier, but there's trade-offs. And I think that as a brand, I'll probably want to stay in tier 1.
Got it. How did you go about creating your logo and other brand assets?
Oh man, made mistakes here. So I'll tell you how you should do it is use 99 Designs.
Yeah.
So when we started with the logo, it came off of referrals of friends, right? So it was like, oh, I know somebody who did the logo for this spirits company. I'm like, well, I really like their stuff, so I'll give you a chance. And it cost us a lot of time. There was so much time lost on the logo because the medallion is based on the logo. And so
how long did it take you to make the logo?
2.5 months.
Okay.
It was great, and it was the guy was doing it on the side. He was a graphic designer by day, and I kept getting quotes like 3 weeks, and he was dragging his feet. And I should be saying this on the podcast if it's going to go out there, but it took a lot longer than I wanted it to. I'm really, really happy with where we ended up.
How many different designers did you try out before you found or how many different designs did you go through with this designer before you kind of found what you liked?
Yeah, I made 20 or 30 designs myself. I have a basic skill set in Adobe Illustrator, and so I made a bunch of stuff myself. And then what I've done in the past is I usually take my favorite one, turn it over to a designer, and just say, make this aesthetic. And so I did that, and I said, make this aesthetic, but give me 3 more. And believe it or not, the one that we went with was not based on, it was completely raw thought. I told him the guidelines of what I wanted, and he came back with this, and then just immediately I was like, this is perfect. We love it. And so we picked that and finalized it. And then we trademarked it. And then we started working on the medallion design. And when we started building the website, I took your advice here, and it was incredible. Still a lot more time consuming than I would have expected. But you want me to talk about the website?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we launched a 99 Designs contest. I forget
which tier did you get on?
I mean, the highest one.
The highest one.
Highest one. Yeah, I think it was like $3,500 for 5 pages. Five pages of the website. We ended up paying more to the designer afterwards to complete the rest of the website. But if I could give one piece of advice here, it'd be when you launch that contest, make sure you have as much free time for the next 5 days as you're ever going to have. Because if you want the ultimate results out of that, you're going to give feedback early and often on every single design. Because some of the design came in, we're like, oh, we love this. This guy's definitely going to win the contest, or these people are going to win the contest. And then we give them some comments to make some revisions, and they just wouldn't understand it all, and it would get worse. And like they couldn't do anything we wanted for them to change. We're like, all right, well, it's already at its ceiling. Somebody else would come in and be like, well, this isn't really in the right direction. We would give them some feedback, and they'd come back with something new, and we're like, yeah, we love it. And then they would, respond just with a lot of, they knew where we were coming from, and the design would get better and better. And so I got 218 submissions, and I went through and I provided feedback on every single one of them to make sure that what we ended up with, I had, gotten the most potential out of that $3,500. And then we paid them another, I don't know, like $1,500 to finish the rest of the website design. So I think we were like in for $5,000 for the design files. It's not the development, that's the design files. And overall time frame was probably 3.5 weeks from launch of the contest. Now, what I will say is before I launched the contest, I wrote a 26-page brief that had every little detail of every piece of content.
Did I send you my brief?
You sent me, yeah, you sent me your brief. And then I expanded on that, made sure that every piece of content was on every page, so there wasn't going to be any guesswork. They didn't have to make any assumptions or fill anything out. They were working with aesthetics only and not content, because I needed, I was going to do the content. And so it took me probably a week and a half to put that together. So overall for the website, it's probably 4.5, 5 weeks to get the design files, the PSD files.
Okay, so you got the PSD files, and are you currently contracting with a developer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find somebody?
Oh yeah. So we went.
You didn't run off the Shopify website specifically, right?
What do you mean?
Because Shopify, you can link your website to them, and then you can kind of pick.
Oh no, we're built on Shopify.
Oh, you're built on. Okay.
Yeah, kind of. We're doing something different, but so yeah, we went on Upwork, and we checked out a couple places, but ended up launching on Upwork, which it is what it is. The user experience there wasn't amazing because you get so much crap. So I ended up just putting something in that brief that I'm like, if you don't specifically include this in your quote, I'm just going to delete it, because I wanted to know if they were even looking at my design files, because you get just generic templated responses bidding on your stuff. And if I can tell that you didn't even read my stuff, I'm not going to hire you. So who I ended up hiring was the person who put the most context about my brand into their response, and I knew that they actually know what we did. There were 3 or 4 good ones that I had a hard time deciding between. But ultimately, what we did, and I don't know if I would have done this again, but it's a decision we made at the time, is I found out because our retail partner is partners with Shopify, I get a Shopify Plus account. Shopify Plus account is like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And we're given it, it's just given to us as part of our package. And so I was like, well, what is Shopify Plus? And like, oh, it's going to do better at these things. And one of the best things it does is it supports a much higher loading speed when you build with a headless design, which means you're not using what they call the liquid themes. You're not using the Shopify templates and then customizing them. You're actually custom coding from the ground up every line into what's called a headless design, which is like kind of the new generation of how modern websites are being developed. And so these guys they were really good at headless and kind of sold me on that. And it ended up probably costing me probably 50% more to do a completely custom build up rather than having somebody modify an existing theme. But it's coming together really well. Our initial investment is much higher because of that. But as a result, I'll be able to scale it without ever having to do like a full rebuild, because it's infinite possibilities because it's completely custom.
How much do you have to pay for the website to get it coded?
$8,000.
Okay. So $5,000 to design it, another $8,000 to make it live. I mean, put it on the internet.
Yep.
And where did you find the developer for to build it out custom? The $8,000.
Yeah, Upwork.com.
Oh, okay, you did do it on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Where were they? Where did you notice your best success? to find these developers? Were they from America?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bunch of great ones out of India.
Oh, okay.
These guys are American. They're out of San Diego, which again is in alignment with our company views. We're trying to keep everything here that we can. So it was another reason that I wanted to choose them. But most of them are out of India.
And how did you know if they were going to be able to perform the job good enough? Was it based off their reviews, or what was an indicator that you knew that they were the one?
There are reviews, but you're going to end up on a video call with them, and you're going to interview them.
Yeah.
And like you get on ChatGPT and you figure like, what do I need to ask them? How do I review my confidence in their abilities to do this? And so I took maybe 7 meetings with developers from Upwork by the time all of the submissions were in, and I just we made the decision to go with them.
Nice.
Amazing. Anything else you want our audience to know about building your brand? What was the hardest part of this whole process?
And hardest part, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's just the hardest part is just making sure that every single day I'm spending time creating, right? And so like every single day doing something. The hardest part for me is probably posting on social media because it's so foreign to me. I'm not personally a big social media user, so I'm having to learn a lot about that. But the other thing is we're really focused on SEO as one of our initial tactics, and nobody's searching for agave spirits. And so my answer to that was to write a shit ton of blogs about tequila and then use those blogs on tequila to educate the readers on American agave spirits and direct them back to the site. And so I had to learn a lot of these SEO tools. And I had to learn a lot of, I had to just kind of take a deep dive into learning as much as I could about the process and tequila and how it's made it all the way down to the bottom so that I became enough of an expert to start writing all of this content. So it's my goal to like launch our site with 15 to 20 blogs written and then write 1 per week indefinitely. And so it's taken a lot of time to do that.
That's a very smart way to launch. I started off by also doing SEO and affiliate marketing when we started our website, and that's how we grew it initially. We didn't have a marketing budget of any sort, really. At that point, I've invested already $50,000 off of a cash advance to buy inventory, so we were kind of tapped out. And at that time, SEO I could do on my own, and affiliate marketing is performance-based. When the affiliate helps you sell something, then they get paid. Otherwise, they don't get paid.
Awesome.
So that worked for us. Can you do affiliate marketing with your business?
Yeah.
Okay. No laws about that in alcohol and affiliates?
No.
Okay. Are there currently any liquor companies sponsoring YouTubers?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just interesting. Maybe it goes against terms of service or something, or maybe they're going to have to put a certain disclaimer because the advertiser sells an adult product, right?
Yeah, so if I'm running paid ads, I have restrictions on what I can do. But if I'm using affiliate marketing, any organic posting is there's far less restrictions. So like I can post whatever I want organically on my feed. If I'm running a paid ad, I do have some restrictions there. It's just restrictions. I just can't show people taking shots, getting drunk, things like that. That's not our market anyways. But there's a lot that I can still do to tell our story.
Awesome. So let's segue that into making money with real estate. Okay. So as you grow, as you make more money in e-commerce, you're going to have to find a way to invest that money. You want to find a way to park that money in a way that gives you a tax benefit and also hopefully makes you a passive income at the same time. So I'm trying to look at it from the lens of an investor, somebody who has extra money, who's looking to get cost segregation benefits and also looking to get, offset their taxes, and also looking to build kind of a portfolio of sorts. So Joshua, how do you do that, right? How do you, let's say I'm an investor, I have money, I have, income coming in from my e-commerce business, I have $2 million I want to invest. How would you do it?
Okay, so, the first thing is everyone's, say, risk tolerance or investment strategy is different, right? So I'll try not to talk too much about, the complexities of that, but to simplify it, say you want to buy long-term rentals. I always find my properties off market. Lately, I've actually been getting a couple properties on the market due to that the market is very volatile. So if you have $2 million, I would probably look at a bigger asset that's going to pay you a good cash-on-cash return. Meaning, depending on how much money you put in, I would leverage that $2 million. So I try to buy maybe a bigger property, put a little bit of money down, keep some capital in reserves.
And how much would you put down?
Well, it depends on the purchase price of the asset, but say it's a $2 million purchase, I would see what my bank would let me leverage to. So probably 25% down, and then depending on the numbers of that asset and how much you might need on reserves, keep like 100, 200 on the side, and then now you put say $500,000 down, and you still have 1.5 in cash just sitting, and now you own this asset, and hopefully you're buying an asset that you can either increase the value, either because the rents are low or because there's other economical factors where you can bump, the value, whether it's owning like the laundry mat inside the apartment complex or whatever it is. So that's how I would approach it. If I was taking,
what would you invest in? If let's say you had $2 million, and you're looking to get some cash flow and offset your taxes.
I think, okay, so I would say this is one perk that I personally like is small multifamily.
Okay.
Because people think about multifamily, and I've never bought really big multifamily, but I have friends that own big multifamily, and I hear a lot of the complexities because they have so many like on-site maintenance people, on-site leasing people. You just have so much more going on when you have, say, 200, 300 units, where I like something that's maybe under 30 units or 20 units because you don't need anyone on site, which is great. You usually have a better chance of finding a good property management company to manage the properties. And because the bigger the property, the less property management company, third-party property management companies will help you. So then you have to train your own people that are on staff.
Do you use property management companies?
Yes, on a lot of them. Yeah.
A lot of them or all of them? And why not all of them?
A lot of them, some I don't do because they're just single family, and I have really good tenants that don't really ever hit me up. So like sometimes, like for example, I have another property I own right now, and I put a property management on it originally, but after a year, the tenants were not requesting or doing anything. They always paid on time. So I'm like, well, I'm literally giving money away to property management for literally collecting a check. So if I have simple, easy tenants, then I'll have my team. I have a couple people on my team, and they usually will manage that for me.
Okay. How much does a property manager take?
So it's always different. Depending on the revenue that the property can generate, how many tenants you have, are you going to be able to bring them more properties in the future? But, we have a percentage at 8% of the total income. So to keep numbers,
8%.
Yeah, 8%. So basically, say the property's making $10,000 a month in gross or total rents, then they'll take $800 off the top. But there's additional fees, whether there's releasing or you have to evict. So there are additional fees for stuff like that.
Is the 8% negotiable, or is that like industry standard?
Everything is negotiable.
So how do you negotiate that? Like, what would give you a better, negotiation term?
If you bring them enough doors, the one complexity I've noticed, I was working on a pretty big project recently, and more doors, sometimes they don't even want to take it on. There's just too many doors for them to manage. But if you have, like, say, a sweet spot, 15 doors you're going to give them, they probably can handle it. And you, instead of them getting only 2 or 3 doors, be like, hey, give me a better rate because you guys are literally getting 15 doors. So I negotiate on not everything, but when it comes down to real estate, I negotiate everything I can.
So how have you seen, like with your peer group, how others have been able to negotiate that cost with more doors? What have you seen? 8%, somebody negotiated 3% or 5%. What have you seen?
Yeah, I haven't seen 3. I haven't heard of 3 or 5%. 7 or 8 is pretty solid. But some people pay more, 12%. I mean, I'm sure the numbers are all over the place.
What's the lowest you've seen?
Well, or what I've heard of, I don't know if I can't say I've seen, but what I've heard, probably about a 7-ish.
Okay, so you're talking about like 1 percentage points delta, really,
Yeah.
for a great deal versus a good deal.
Well, a lot of property managements will probably try to bang you up around 10 or 12. But if you can give them more doors, they're usually a little more lenient, especially if they're already full and they just taken over current tenants, stuff like that.
Okay. So you said that multifamily, small multifamily,
Yeah.
is a good vehicle for an investor, right?
Yeah.
So how do you go about finding properties to buy? Because you're saying a lot of these good deals happen off market. How do you go about
Sure. So the market landscape, especially in the marketing side of this changed economy, is different. So historically, we would do online advertising, so like Google AdWords or say.
So what do you tell me more about that? How do you Google AdWords? How would you get people to sell you their house by using Google AdWords?
We just run ads like sell your house fast, cash buyer, stuff like that.
So certain keywords like sell my house in Texas, you would bid on those.
Yeah, so there's,
and then you would create like a lead page, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, positive keywords. We also have negative keywords. So there's a ton of negative keywords that you want to filter out so you don't get those clicks because it costs so much.
Are you doing this on your own or is somebody setting this up for you?
I've done both.
Okay.
But,
is there like real estate specific agencies?
Yes.
That help you bring in deals?
Yeah, but there are, but a lot of them are not that good, and you got to like beta test a lot. So I've just kind of been through the ringer with all types of marketing.
Got it. Okay.
And third-party companies.
So what's been the most effective digital way to get deal flow?
Well, I'll tell you what isn't that effective is, at least for us, was Facebook marketing.
Okay.
A tremendous amount of waste of money trying to advertise to buy small multi or even single family.
Okay, so that's not. So what's been your best?
Well, it's always changed due to so when I started in 2015, there wasn't many suppliers first of all offering say direct mail, like to create your own direct mail at scale or quantity. Where now there's tons of vendors that do that, and also more people now do it. But in the very beginning, direct mail we crushed, bandit signs we crushed. But a lot of these techniques or strategies start getting over-consumed by other people just offering the services and more people taking these services. So you always have to adapt and adjust and be nimble with the process. But online's also done really well for us. We've generated 7 figures in net profit just through online marketing.
Okay.
Throughout the years.
Got it.
Did you ever try cold call?
Oh my God, plenty. Oh my God, yeah.
So you did direct mail. You said that worked.
Yeah.
So how do you do direct mail? Do you just go to like a local post office and be like, hey, I need this thing sent to everybody in the neighborhood? Send them a PDF or something?
No. So basically, we'll build our own flyer. I mean, obviously, I don't have any templates or anything to show you, but we'd build our own flyer, and we'd turn it into like a bigger size like postcard. Right, so one technique is we used to send regular postcards. This all just comes with experience, but we'd send a regular shaped postcard, but it would get blended in with everyone's mail, so you wouldn't get a lot of feedback. So then we started redesigning the postcard to be kind of an inconvenient shape in the mail, so it stuck out. And how we would find these, basically it's a third-party company that will, you send them your designs, and then they'll make and distribute to the addresses that you give them.
How do you choose the addresses?
So, well, we specifically focus on the criteria town area that we're looking at buying, and we pull data from multiple resources to collect the address information.
Okay. Yeah. I actually have access to a data set that does direct mail campaigns.
Yeah.
You can mail it yourself or you can just get the addresses, but they pull tax records. They know the average ownership term in the neighborhood, and then they make a prediction on which houses will sell in the next 12 months.
So why we don't go to those kind of vendors is they're usually more expensive due to how much kind of white glove service they're offering.
Yeah.
They're usually significantly more expensive, where my team can just kind of do it in-house, get the list put together, we can build the graphics, and then send off just to get made and mailed.
In some cases, the title company pays enough of the base fees that the report fees are actually pretty small.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, like, I heard another valuable technique is just scouting properties in your local area
Yeah.
and driving around and seeing
driving
what
for
looks
dollars.
kind of right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that? How does it work?
Well, we don't do that anymore, but we have done it. It's very, very difficult, very time consuming. But you do general stuff. You drive around. You want to see, is the grass long, and does the house look like it's not being maintained correctly? But some of these strategies we're talking about is not things that we do anymore due to how I was talking about the market always adjusts, and you have to be nimble, and you kind of consistently have to shift your approach when it comes to marketing. So we do more online stuff than even driving. They call it for driving for dollars, but it's not really something we do. I'm sure it still works, but if you want to do real estate at scale, you got to be able to use marketing techniques that are more scalable per se, because it's all time consuming. So just what will give you the best, result for your energy.
So what's like the biggest thing right now for marketing and getting deal flow? Like what's the biggest way to get them?
So, well, we're consistently shifting, like all the time now due to the market being very, very difficult. But we have a couple realtors that are literally just making lowball offers on the market, like on market properties, which I've never been able to do until just recently, and we're getting some too. Another way that we find properties is online marketing, which has always kind of worked for us. But the cost per click has been very, very expensive due to how many investors there have been. So they're willing to spend more cost per click to be more competitive. It's all a bid system, essentially. So we do that. And then one thing, well, really two things, but one main thing that I've been focusing on, I'm launching a meetup group. I have my broker and I are going to do it together, so I don't have to put in so much energy into it. But we're going to start a meetup group and kind of be influencers of investing and being a realtor within our space, so we can generate people that find properties and they can bring them to us, which has worked for me in the past.
Okay, like real estate agents.
Yeah, real estate
salespeople,
agents, investors.
bringing you deal flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you get them to want to work with you as opposed to working with somebody else? Because I'm sure there's plenty of investors out there trying to court these people.
Yeah, I mean, most investors don't have my experience, so it's pretty easy for me to tell them, hey, I've done hundreds of deals. I know this market's really tough for you, but it's also tough for us. But because we're very experienced, we're still pushing. We still can get deals done. We just need someone that's willing to kind of push and grind and find us properties or bring us properties, whatever. Or I'll even offer to slightly mentor them if they get a property and maybe they're close to getting under contract. I'll kind of just advise them and look at it really quick, and I'll say, hey, do X, Y, or Z. And sometimes I'll even work out a deal where it's like, hey, I'll help kind of mentor you on some of these properties, but if you get something under contract, I want first option or first right to buy from you directly.
So what do you give them in exchange for their services for bringing you this deal?
So every deal is different, depending on who the individual is, right? Some of these people are just investors and they just want to. It's called an assignment fee. So basically, they'll just sell the contract to me.
Sell you the contract. Okay.
Yeah.
What right do they have to sell you a contract?
Well, they have their contract, and in their contract, they put a clause where they have the ability to assign their rights to that contract.
Got it. So they go under contract
Yes.
with the seller.
Yep.
They negotiate a deal for that contract.
Yep.
Typically, it's is there any risk to the broker?
Well, that wouldn't be a broker. That would be, sometimes they are brokers, but usually it's just someone that's not a licensed agent or broker, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what risk is there to them? Like, let's say they go under contract. Are they able to get out of it scot-free without paying anything?
Yeah, I mean, most states, there's not really much liability on the buyer. The seller has an obligated duty to basically sell their property. Sometimes sellers will back out, you cloud the title and put your contract as kind of a secondary lien, showing that you have position of interest on that property. But yeah, there's usually not too much risk. I mean, it just all depends on what the contract says, but sometimes you got to put hard money down, so you have your hard money that's at risk or whatever. So,
are you giving them any kickbacks? Can you do that? Like, can you give them?
Of course.
Like, hey, it's like just for bringing me a deal, whether it works out or not, I'll give you $1,000. If it works out, then you get some kind of more upside.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's all negotiable. It's all situational in the relationship you have with that individual. You know, the agents sometimes, like, one thing we do is we'll offer a super low offer, say on the market, and the realtor's like, "What the hell?" But we tell them, "Hey, well, we know this offer's so low, but we don't have someone representing us, so you can take our buy side commission." So the realtor kind of gets like double commission in a sense.
Right.
And then if we really want to try to juice it up to try to get the deal, we tell them, like, we'll even give you the sales side too, so you can even sell it for us.
Got it. So then instead of 3%, it's like 6%.
Well, it's even more than that, really, because then they get to sell it as well.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, but all these little techniques. It's not like one technique is just generating tons of deals. Especially in this market, you kind of got to do a mix of everything, and you get, like, 1 month it'll be, from you might get 2 deals on the market, but then the next month one comes from a wholesaler, or maybe the next month a deal comes from online. So it's very sporadic, and it's kind of all over the place, especially in this market.
Okay. So what do you see happening with the real estate market in terms of being an investor and the types of investments that were profitable before and how that's changed?
I think even in this kind of, let me make this clear that I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know what's going to happen in the future, but I can tell you what I'm noticing or what I'm seeing change is a deal is only as good as your purchase price. So if you can work that deal where you have enough instant equity, say, instant equity means the as of value might be worth $200,000, no matter what. Don't even have to touch it. It's worth $200K. Well, if you get it for $100, then you got $100K of gross spread prior to any additional costs, taking it down, whatever. You'll probably make $50, right? But maybe there's also an ARV after repair value where you can put $70,000 in it, but it's worth $350, and these are like justifiable factual numbers, right? You want to always be very accurate with your numbers. So I look for stuff like that. But say that same property is $200K and it's worth $200K because of the work it needs. And I got to put $70K in it, it might not be worth it to buy that $200K because the holding costs, taxes, insurance, additional just complications that can always happen when buying property. So,
what would you say the ratio of properties you buy to the properties that you evaluate are?
Oh, shit. We look at a ton of properties. So we make a ton of offers. We look at a ton of properties, and we're lucky if we can maybe get like 4%, 5%. When we're making,
so 1 out of 20 you'll make an offer on.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're saying 1 out of 20?
Well, we'll make offers all the time, but the problem is a lot of them won't even engage.
So 1 out of 20 convert. 1 out of 20 properties that you look at, you'll buy?
No, more than that. Way more.
Okay.
No. Like, we will look at like 100 to 200 properties to get one property.
So out of the 100 or 200, how many offers will you make?
We'll try to make as many as we can. Some just don't even want an offer.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's super situational.
So you mentioned a lot of ways which you generate deal flow, right? But you're a real estate professional.
Yeah.
Let's say it's for a guy like me who's not a real estate professional, who's just looking to invest some money, park some money that is earned from another business, have it generate cash flow, and do a nice write-off. Well, how would you go about that?
Well, I definitely would not go down my path. It's extremely time-consuming. You need a lot of experience to know how to build these systems, how to negotiate these type of deals. So I would never recommend do what I do because what you do as a profession is significantly more valuable than wasting your time doing what I have to deal with. So if that's the case, I would maybe try to build a relationship with a broker that is, can help make low offers for you that are maybe properties on the market, or maybe they call them pocket listings. They haven't hit the market, but they're going to go on the market, and those are usually found out through other brokers that are together on the same team, or their friends.
So to meet these brokers, I can go to local real estate meetups, right?
You could.
There should be a whole bunch of salespeople, brokers, everybody from real estate, and then put myself out there as an investor, right? And be like, hey, I'm looking to buy stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to cut you in on the deal somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Offer you $1,000 just for bringing me a list. Is that worth it?
Well, it all depends on the size of the deal. If I don't bring this topic up, then people will be like, wait, you didn't bring this up. So a lot of people talk about syndications. Syndications can be good, but a lot of syndications are doing capital calls right now because the market has shifted or whatever. So I think syndication still could be a viable source, but if I had the money, I would not go through a syndication, but that doesn't mean that that's the wrong way or the right way. It's just I wouldn't do it.
Would you buy commercial, industrial, or residential if you were in that position?
Well, I like residential because just like what I would not buy is office space right now. But honestly, I'd buy anything if the price is right. It just all depends on the price, right? So I'd buy land, I'd buy anything, right? But let's just say the price isn't as appetizing. I try to focus on something that I know is going to be relatively easy to manage, and storage units, or I like the smaller multifamily, preferably C class or above. B's perfect. I personally have some A class properties that are amazing. But those usually pay a premium. I just got super lucky because I spent a tremendous amount of time trying to find it.
Why are storage units so popular for investors?
Well,
it seems like they're being flipped constantly.
Yeah. Because the management, I mean, it's really just storage space, right? So you don't have anyone living in the property. You don't have like all the complexities of having tenants and dogs and animals. I mean, it's really just storage. So I think that's why I personally never bought storage units, but they are a very desirable asset, probably due to the low management in general.
Is there a better cost segregation that you can do on a storage unit? I feel like there's some tax benefit that I'm not thinking about when it comes to storage unit.
There probably is. I don't have enough experience to give enough information about storage units specifically, so I personally would have to think about it or reach out to someone I know.
Okay. Brett.
Yeah.
Any valuable questions that we can ask Joshua on and to learn how we can invest? Or any insights that you have that you want to add to this?
I can add a couple things. I'd say as far as if people are watching this from wherever and they're saying, now how do I meet the right agent? If you go to a meetup and make an announcement, you never know who's going to approach you. But really, real estate is a business of relationships. And so you really just need to find someone that you trust, get their recommendation, and evaluate people before you're going to know who's going to be on your team.
Yeah. Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
One thing that's good is if you see an asset that's sold for a good price, and sometimes I'll look that agent up and see if they're fairly active and they're selling identical properties at the price that I like. Yeah. And sometimes I'll reach out to them and tell them what I'm looking for. So sometimes that works too, but there's so many different ways you can approach it. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. And then the only other, kind of input I have, and this probably isn't good for people that are just trying to park investment money in real estate, but for people that are wanting to take on a more active strategy, I will say that one of the things that's really changing in this market is that, and we had talked about this before, there's a $1 trillion worth of commercial debt that's coming due in the next 12 months. And that $1 trillion, a lot of was underwritten at under 5% and may not pass underwriting or may not be cash flow positive at the current interest environment. And so I've talked to a lot of bankers, talked to a lot of presidents of big commercial banks in Austin specifically, and asked them what their prediction is, what they think is going to happen with this. And there's not a lot of really good answers. And so I've also talked to Ken McElroy about this, and he's quite excited because what he's waiting for is that when you have a project that's a commercial project that's in construction, that where construction has gone on past the call phase of the note, then if it doesn't pass underwriting for a future financing start, they ran out of runway. There's going to be a lot of properties that don't get completed. The banks don't want the keys. And if you have the ability to do so, you can get these things for literally 50 cents on the dollar and finish out construction on them if you have the cash capital to do it. Because cost of capital is so high right now. So a lot of people that are going to use this economy to get really far ahead for the next real estate return are going to be using that type of strategy.
Can you make a piece of real estate profitable right now by taking out a loan? Because it seems like when the interest rates go up, it attracts a lot of cash buyers and that's really one of the only ways to make money.
That's a really easy answer. I'd just say it all depends on your purchase price.
Yeah. But in general, I think that what we're going to see is there's a lot of mixed-use property. There's a lot of office property out there that, in order to make it feasible for continuing financing on it, is going to require a change of use. So that's really unfortunately, it's going to depend on a lot of the city zoning authorities and how quick they're going to respond to these situations of saying, yes, like this needs to change from office space to mixed use because it's the only way that it's going to become feasible to an investor to actually continue the development of a property. So some cities will probably realize that quickly and play along, and some cities may really take their time on changing zoning, and there'll be a lot of projects that just sit.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a great episode, guys. Thank you so much for chiming in.
Content.
So that's, yep. So we just landed in, is this Dallas, Mark? Where are we? Is this Dallas? Oh, you can't hear me. Yeah,
I can't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, is this Dallas? Where are we?
Mesquite. Yep.
Mesquite. Okay, so close to Dallas, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so we just landed in Mesquite. We're just about to fuel up and then head back to RYW, Lago Vista Airport. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes. Thanks so much. Peace.